The city of Nara slept under a fake peace, hiding something dark beneath its glowing lights. A boy named Ryo Kisaragi ran through the rain-soaked alleys, clutching a small black crystal that pulsed faintly in his trembling hand. Behind him, masked pursuers in white coats moved like ghosts, their violet eyes burning through the fog. "Ryo, listen!" A voice hissed through his earpiece, filled with static. "Don't let them touch the pulse. If they get it, everything ends." His lungs burned as he leapt across rooftops, thunder echoing every desperate step. A flash of lightning split the sky, and he caught a glimpse of his reflection in a shattered window. His eyes were glowing the same unnatural violet as theirs. "What's happening to me?" he gasped. Then a cold whisper echoed inside his skull. "You've awakened, Ryo. The shadow pulse is alive again." His body froze as the shadows behind him began to twist, forming long black claws that reached toward his back. "Run," the voice said, darker, colder, "or you'll die before you even understand who you are." The streetlights flickered, and the rain turned red for a second before the darkness swallowed him completely. Ryo woke up in a dim metallic room, his body trembling with pain. The black crystal still glowed faintly in his palm, pulsing with the same rhythm as his heartbeat. The air reeked of oil and dust. He tried to stand, but his legs gave out, and he collapsed against a steel wall. A raspy voice came from the shadows. "Don't move too fast. The pulse burns through your body when you resist it." Ryo turned his head slowly and saw an old man with a mechanical visor covering his eyes. Cables ran from his back into the wall like veins of metal. "You survived the pulse?" the man said calmly. "That means it chose you." Ryo frowned. "Chose me? What are you talking about?" The man chuckled softly. "The shadow pulse isn't a weapon. It's alive. It bonds with people who carry deep scars. It feeds on pain and guilt." Ryo's chest tightened as blurry flashes of his past flickered blood, screams, a hand slipping away in the rain. "I didn't ask for this," he muttered. The old man nodded. "No one ever does." Suddenly a siren blared, and the room turned crimson. "They found us," the man warned. "The Order of Veins never forgets a host." Heavy footsteps thundered above. The crystal in Ryo's hand flared bright, and the shadows around him began to rise like smoke, alive and hungry. "Control it, before it controls you!" the old man shouted, but the darkness exploded from Ryo's body, tearing through the metal walls, as screams filled the underground base. Smoke filled the corridor as Ryo stumbled out of the wreckage. The air burned his lungs, and the echoes of screams still rang in his ears. The underground base was collapsing. He looked at his hands covered in dark residue, the same black mist that had burst from him moments ago. The old man, Daigo, limped through the rubble holding his side. "You lost control," he said harshly. "The pulse inside you isn't tamed yet. If you let your emotions rule it, it'll destroy everything." Ryo clenched his jaw, guilt twisting his chest. "I didn't mean to," Daigo interrupted. "Meaning doesn't matter. Survival does." He handed Ryo a small metallic device. "This suppressor can hold the pulse for a few hours, no more. Use it wisely." Before Ryo could respond, a sharp sound cut through the air. A drone hovering above them projected a purple insignia, the symbol of the Order of Veins. "They're tracking us again," Daigo muttered. The shadows began to move along the walls, forming shapes of masked soldiers emerging from the darkness itself. Ryo's pulse quickened, the crystal in his hand glowing wildly. "Don't fight them with fear," Daigo warned. "Let the pulse flow through you, not against you." As the soldiers charged forward, Ryo's eyes flashed violet, and the ground cracked beneath his feet. For the first time, he didn't feel afraid, he felt powerful. Night fell over the ruins where Ryo and Daigo hid. The wind howled through the broken steel beams as they rested by a dying fire. Ryo stared into the flames, his mind replaying the moment he lost control. "That power, it wanted to kill everything," he whispered. Daigo adjusted his visor and said, "It doesn't want to kill, it wants purpose. The pulse reacts to your emotions. If you fear it, it feeds on fear. Rio clenched his fists, frustrated. Before Daigo could reply, a sudden sound echoed from the shadows' soft footsteps. Both turned quickly. A girl stepped forward, thin, pale, with long silver hair and eyes that shimmered faint blue. "Don't shoot," she said quietly. "I'm not one of them." Daigo raised his weapon anyway. "Who are you?" The girl looked at Rio with strange familiarity. "My name is Yuna Sato." I heard the pulse screaming from miles away. "Inside you." Rio froze. "You can hear it?" She nodded. "I was part of the experiments too." The pulse never dies. It just moves to a new host. Daigo's expression darkened. "So you're another survivor." Yuna looked down. "Survivor, or mistake. They called me Subject Zero." The fire flickered between them, and for the first time Rio realized he wasn't alone in his curse. The night sky above the ruins turned crimson as a low hum filled the air. Rio, Yuna, and Daigo stepped outside, their shadows stretching unnaturally beneath the blood-red moon. "They found us again," Daigo muttered, checking his visor. "No. This signal is stronger. He's here." Before Rio could ask, the ground cracked open. From the dust, a tall figure emerged, wearing a black coat lined with metallic threads. His face was hidden by a mask, his eyes glowing like twin stars of violet fire. "Rio Kisaragi," the voice echoed. "Return the pulse." Rio felt the crystal in his hand tremble violently. "Warden," Daigo whispered. "The Order's strongest hunter." Warden raised his hand, and the shadows around him came alive like serpents. "You carry what was mine," he said. "Give it back, and I might spare the others." Yuna stepped forward. "You can't control it anymore, can you?" Warden's tone shifted, colder. "It doesn't need control. It needs dominance." He moved faster than lightning. Rio barely blocked his strike as black energy erupted between them. The force threw Daigo and Yuna back. Pain surged through Rio's arm, but he didn't stop. "If you want it," he growled, "come and take it." The pulse flared in his chest, his eyes glowing brighter than ever before, and for the first time, Warden took a single step back. The world shattered into countless fragments of violet light. Kaito gasped as gravity vanished, and he found himself floating in a realm beyond time. Frozen waves of sand, shattered temples, and stars falling like ashes. Haruko was gone. Only echoes remained, whispering her name. A cold voice broke the silence. "You can't win against time, boy." Warden stepped from the mist, armor cracked, half his mask missing, revealing tired eyes filled with pain. "You think I wanted this?" he said quietly. "I was human once, until time took everything I swore to protect." Kaito's grip on his sword tightened. "Then stop it before it eats what's left of you." Warden's faint smile carried regret. "It's too late. The moment I touched the heart, time branded me its warden." Their blades clashed again, metal screaming through the void. Waves of reversed seconds burst around them, trees regrowing, stones rebuilding, then shattering again. Kaito was thrown back, his body glowing with traces of the same violet power. "You're changing," Warden warned. "The heart is choosing you." "Then I'll master it," Kaito shouted. For a brief second, Warden hesitated, a tear sliding down his scarred cheek. "You remind me of who I was," he whispered before the world collapsed into white light, dragging them into another era. The blinding light faded, and Kaito collapsed onto rough stone. The air smelled of smoke and iron. When he opened his eyes, he found himself in a ruined city under a golden sky. Giant machines lay silent, covered in vines. "Where am I?" he whispered. A familiar voice answered, distant and hollow. "Welcome to the first cycle." Warden appeared from the mist, no longer in full armor. His body looked weaker, almost human. "This is where time began, and where it ends." Kaito tried to stand, You brought us here. Warden shook his head. No, the heart did. It wants us to finish what we started. As they spoke, the ground trembled. Broken towers rose again, rewinding themselves. Within the chaos, figures formed ghosts of warriors locked in an endless battle. Their memories, Warden said. Echoes of what time refuses to forget. Kaito raised his sword. Then we change it. But Warden didn't move. You still don't understand. Every victory creates another tragedy. Lightning split the sky. From above, a massive violet orb appeared, pulsing like a living heart. The heart of time had awakened, and it was calling both of them by name. The battlefield burned under the shattered sky. The pulse's violet light clashed with Warden's darkness, tearing the air apart. Kaito stood firm, his eyes glowing, while Ryo, Yuna, and Daigo watched from afar. Yuna shouted, "He can't win alone." Daigo warned, "If we go now, we die too." But Kaito didn't care. The pulse inside his chest roared. He charged forward his blade, cutting through shadows. Warden blocked with cold, dark energy. "You're not fighting me," he said. "You're fighting fate, then I'll break it." Kaito answered. Their powers collided, shaking. The ruins. Kaito's armor cracked his body, trembling, but the pulse shone brighter than ever. Ryo ran forward, throwing his last energy orb. Daigo blocked Warden's strike. Yuna whispered, "For the light for tomorrow." They all poured their energy into Kaito. The pulse exploded in violet fire. Warden stepped back, his mask cracking. For the first time, fear flashed in his eyes. Kaito shouted, "This ends here," and struck with everything. He had the explosion, lit the horizon, and when the smoke cleared, only Kaito stood, holding the fading pulse in his palm. "It's not over yet," he whispered. The wind was silent after the explosion. The ruins lay in ashes, and Kaito stood alone, his breath heavy, his vision blurred. The pulse in his hand flickered weakly like a dying star. He looked around for Ryo, Yuna, and Daigo, but only dust answered his call. A faint voice echoed behind him. "Kaito, you did it." It was Yuna crawling from the debris, her body bruised. Alive, Kaito ran to her, but before he could reach her, a surge of dark smoke rose from the crater. Warden's broken mask rolled across the ground, but his voice still lingered cold and sharp. "You think you've won. Boy, darkness never dies." His shadow reformed, weaker but still alive. Kaito clenched his fist. Not this time. He focused all that remained of the pulse, and a blinding violet light shot from his chest, wrapping around Warden like chains. The hunter roared in rage as his body cracked and dissolved into dust, fading into the night air. Kaito fell to his knees, exhausted. Yuna held his hand. "You stopped him," she whispered. "No," Kaito murmured. "I just delayed. The end, the pulse is changing, it's unstable." Daigo and Ryo appeared. Limping but smiling, Ryo said, "We made it somehow." Kaito looked up at the horizon, where the first light of dawn broke through the smoke. "For now," he said softly, "we're safe but far away." In the shadow of the mountains, a new pair of glowing eyes opened, watching them in silence, and the wind carried a whisper. "The order will rise again." The sky was calm at last. The violet storm had faded, and the ruins were silent. Kaito stood at the edge of the crater, watching the last sparks of the pulse fade into the dawn. Yuna, Ryo, and Daigo joined him, their faces covered in dust, but their eyes alive. "We won," Yuna whispered. Kaito shook his head quietly. "No, we survived. There's a difference." He opened his hand. The crystal flickered once more, and then shattered into light, disappearing into the wind. Daigo said, "So it's gone." Kaito nodded. "Maybe that's for the best." Ryo looked at him. "What will you do now?" Kaito smiled faintly. "I'll rebuild what was lost. Maybe start again without the pulse. Just me." Yuna stepped closer, placing her hand on his shoulder. "You're not alone anymore." He looked at her, and for the first time, he truly smiled far away. The morning sun rose over the ruins, painting the world gold and quiet. A new beginning after so much pain. The order had fallen. The pulse had ended. But the bond they forged would never fade as they walked toward the horizon. The light followed them, and Kaito whispered to the wind, "This time the world will stay free."